Hello, everybody. It's Gary Stuckey with Steve Perry News. Hope you're doing okay out there. And check that out. Ross Valory and Steve Perry, they're in the news. Of course, in the Steve Perry world. Now, Steve just posted on Facebook and Instagram about his former bandmate, Ross Valory, and was bragging on him. And that's a really good thing when you go back and think about how Steve fired Ross and Steve Smith back in 1985 and replaced them for the Raised on Radio album. But of course, I did a video about how Ross says that there's no judgment. There's no issues there. All's forgiven. They met backstage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so everything is going good there, and that's good to hear. And Steve even went backstage with Steve Smith a while back and visited with his band, celebrating 40 years of Vinyl Information. So that was pretty nice. So let's see what Steve had to say now. Like I said, he just posted over on Facebook and Instagram yesterday. It says, Ross Valory released his solo record today. He, along with Steve Smith, were the backbone, driving rhythm section of Journey. Without them, it would not have been possible. Check out his record. Sincerely, Steve Perry. And he puts a link to go to it over on YouTube. It's a really good album. A lot of Journey tie-ins. Former Journey drummer Prairie Prince in there, and Neil Sean's son, Miles Sean, playing guitar, and some other cool artists that you might know. Go check that out. It's over on YouTube. You can listen to it. And Ross says to feed your dog and go lay in the bed and listen to it. I think turn out the lights or something like that. And I've done that. It's really good, though. Way to go, Ross. But it's cool to see that Steve is bragging on the guys, the guys that he let go. So there is forgiveness in the air. There's forgiveness. We remember Traces, the cover of the album, with Neil Sean's guitar with a dove on there. So we know that there was forgiveness there, but we also remember the broken keyboards. But of course, on the next album, the acoustic remixed album that he did, there's a keyboard, a piano of Jonathan Cain's on there, and it's not broken. So there's some forgiveness there, right? So it only is fitting to have Steve come out and promote those guys, and just kind of show about forgiveness. And it's been the 7th anniversary of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction with Journey this past week. And going back to that night, Steve, you didn't know if he was going to be there at all, but then he decided, he's talked about it in several interviews, which I've talked about also in the past, where he just knew he had to go, and he met up with all his former bandmates. They all gave great speeches, and they rekindled some memories, and of course the album Traces, although some people disagree, and I don't know why, it is filled with memories of Journey, and he talks about Journey throughout that whole album, especially with the songs No Erasing and the song We're Still Here. Now, he talked with Dan Rather in that interview a few years ago, and he's kind of explaining the song We're Still Here. And he says he thinks the music takes us to a place that maybe we forgot about. He says we need to go back to that and at least, for a second, remember that, and he says, and you can go off and go back to whatever you were doing, He said, whether you were angry or whatever you were happy about, So he's thinking about all the issues he's had with the band, and those guys in the band. But he thought if only for a moment he could just be there with those guys, and that's what he did. So that's the song We're Still Here. If you listen to him, if you pay attention to the words, of course, he's talking about Journey. And to verify that, watch Ross Valory in his speech at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and right in the middle of that speech, he says, "We're still here." So I think that night Steve really took note of all that was going on with Neil Sean and, and all the other guys in the band, and even Jonathan Cain. And it takes you back to the For the Love of Strange Medicine album and the song Anyway, where he says, I like to say I'm sorry, I like to make amends. That was his apology kind of a song. And then you fast forward to even now, it's just he's trying to say, everything is forgiven. Although a lot of people try to bring up stuff and say that he still has grudges and he still doesn't like this member or that member. I just think that that's, he's let all that go. Now, will that mean any future endeavors with the band? That's not saying that, but I guess that's a good way to start if you were going to do that. I just say, you never say never, but that is a good thing to talk about forgiveness. And speaking of Jonathan Cain, he has been hanging out with Jonathan's son-in-law. That's right, Trev Lukather. We know that they hung out together when he was with a band called Valory, and that band kind of broke up. But now Steve is back with Trev, and they met up. And Trev posted a picture, and you're wondering what's going on. But then Steve posted a picture, got the guys from the Smashing Pumpkins, and of course Trev's band, The Effect. They're going to go on tour this summer, but it was confirmed by Trev. Over on Twitter, he said, BC and I are pals. He's talking about Billy Corgan, of course, from Smashing Pumpkins. He said, Pumpkins are looking for a new guitarist. And by the time BC called me to let me know when I could come in and play to see if it fits, I was booked for The Effect tour. I wanted to jam anyway, and Perry wanted to support and come with. It was a great hang and jam. Of course, he was explaining to Mitch LaFon. Mitch LaFon was like me, what is this all about? I've been wanting to talk to Trev too, by the way, and talk about his new band. Pretty awesome band, by the way, The Effect. Phil Collins of Genesis, his son is the drummer of that band. They got some cool songs. Go check them out on YouTube. You'll enjoy that. But that's cool to see because Trev was posting, though, about Steve, said he was his guitar tech, and Steve's got the picture there with holding the guitar. So Steve is really interested in helping out people, especially the younger generations now. Why in particular Trev? Is it because that's Jonathan Cain's son-in-law? He married Jonathan Cain's daughter, Madison, last year. So, maybe that has something to do with it. But I think for the most part, it's because Steve likes to help people. And if you notice, Steve doesn't jump right back into the fire. He doesn't jump on the merry-go-round, spinning round and round and round, and get on there again. It's like when he left years ago, he was kind of burnt out. And now I totally get it. There's some things in my life I kind of totally understand. He wanted to get off that merry-go-round. And now helping people like Trev, he can give his advice and live his life, through them, but not have to get on board in a band and travel around the country every night. He can just kind of lay low and do some cool things like that every now and then, which I totally understand. Maybe do some new music here and there, but there's no pressure. And I think that's where Steve wants to be these days, kind of, behind the scenes. And that's fine. But maybe we'll get some new music. Maybe we'll have some other surprises. But 40th anniversary of Street Talk right now. That's cool. Maybe we'll hear more about that. And coming in July, 30 years of For the Love of Strange Medicine. So we'll be talking about that pretty soon. And we'll see what happens in the near future. Maybe some cool things happening with Steve Perry. We'll take whatever we can get, right? Thanks for watching, and I just want to thank everybody. It's been 6 years, coming up on 6 years next month that I've been doing this, and I've had a great time doing it. I'm thankful for all the people that have subscribed and been supporting me, through all of everything, and I won't ever forget that. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video and let everybody know about it. And I appreciate you. And also go check out my other channel, Real Music with Gary Stuckey. And the podcast is everywhere on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere you find podcasts. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't stop believing. God bless you.